Hi, I am Jen Ailey, and I'm here today to share with you the six six counterintuitive prosperity practices for 2022. So these are practices that you can do, and money has been a huge teacher for me in my life. And if it's one thing I learned, the relationship with money is a relationship, and we get to step into that, and I'll share more about that in just a second. And prosperity is a practice. It's not about the numbers, which you may resist, but I've known people who have tons and tons of money who are miserable with themselves, and I've known people who have nothing and they are present and blissed out on life. So prosperity as a practice is what we're here to talk about. And just a little bit about me, if you're new here. Again, I'm Jen Ailey, and I am a prosperity and business coach for creative and holistic entrepreneurs. I help people who don't have a proclivity toward like business and like left brain kinds of structured things to create business from a place of intuition and creativity and seeing business as a creative process, to fully embrace these aspects so that they can fully step into their business and thrive and create more impact in the world and more prosperity. So let's dive in. Okay, so number one, the first prosperity practice that may be counterintuitive is to nourish your nervous system. So your nervous system has two channels. One is contraction and one is expansion. So when you're in contraction, it's harder to receive. So you want to be in expansion so that you can receive and be open. So some of the things that help are breathing techniques. And I'm not an expert on this. I do a lot myself. One thing I do know is that if you are feeling anxious, you don't want to do really intense breathing stuff because it can make it worse sometimes. That's what I've heard, and it's been true in my experience. So you can do breath work that is equal parts breathing in, breathing out with no hold. And you can also do breathing techniques where for relaxation, where you breathe in, let's say 5 seconds, and you breathe out longer than 5 seconds. So, and just keep it simple and start small. And you can look up breathing techniques, and there's a billion options there. So play with breathing techniques to calm your nervous system. Another piece of this one is that I love this. So if you have anxiety and you become curious, curiosity can't be in the same place as anxiety. So when you bring in curiosity, you're bypassing, or like you're basically trumping the anxiety. Isn't that cool? So basically you can ask questions like whatever's happening, like this. Open-ended questions that make you curious, and that will tap into your curiosity. One is, I wonder what's here. It's not a question, but it's curiosity. Another one is, and this can be tough sometimes, but sometimes it really helps. What is the advantage to this? And there's this great Rumi quote that says, I asked, why have I only received this? A voice replied, only this will lead you to that. That's Rumi. So really embracing the present moment, trusting life, trusting yourself, trusting your path, and breathing, stopping and giving yourself space when you do feel anxiety, and to step into curiosity and being open and asking questions that bring in curiosity instead of judgment or limitation or fear. So those are huge ones. So one is nourish your nervous system. Okay, number two. Okay, so this is coming from the place that, money and you have a relationship. So you and money have a relationship. And this next one, the number two, is spend time with money. Spend time with money, with your relationship with money. And, so if you were to look at your money relationship right now and see that, so we'll say, how close are you to money? How much time do you spend together? And time with money means, looking at your numbers, planning, strategizing with your finances. It means tracking what you are doing. Anytime you're working with your numbers is spending time with money. So what does that look like for you? Where are you? How close are you? How much time do you spend with money? Do you have a weekly date with money? And how can you make that fun for yourself? Barry Tesler, who wrote The Art of Money, talks about having a date with money and bring dark chocolate. That's her thing. So what is your thing? Is it music? Is it, a bribe for something you do after, after you have your date with money? What is it, right? So spending time with money means getting clear on where you are, what you need, and what you want. And some people avoid numbers out of fear. And so, this is really common. People have fear. But the thing is, like, your money doesn't change when you look at it. So avoiding it doesn't help anything. And this is the way I look at it. So you think about a boat and you want to go somewhere. And you don't go down to the bottom of the boat to check the hull to see how solid it is. You don't see how much gas you have. You don't look at the weather if you have a sailboat. And you're just going to get in and hope it works out. But looking at all these things gives you a way to assess where you are and how you're going to get to where you're going, so that you are able to fully get to where you're going and to like really plan for it and to, be where you are. It's like you looking at where am I on the map so you can figure out where to go. You can't figure out where to go unless you know where you are on the map. So getting clear on your numbers, your spending, your income, all the details there. And I'll go into that a lot more in my money program. But right now I just want to say, spend time with money as a prosperity practice, and around the money thing, just want to say this too. Like when people have fear of making more money or fear of being greedy, they have a fear of, like, money will make them someone they're not. Money will make them someone who's evil, greedy, whatever. All these attachments to our cultural judgments about money, because some people do hoard money, and the system is insane. So this is what I've heard one time that I love. Money makes you more of who you already are. Having more money makes you more of who you already are. So if you're generous, you're going to be more generous. If you are, your values get to reflect you even more when you have more money and you're creating more. So don't worry about being greedy, because you are who you are and you'll just become more of who you are. And if that scares you, then that's another conversation too. Okay. So visioning. Number 3 is visioning. So tuning into your future self. There's a on my website, there's a link for receiving a half-hour video in my money mindset or money makeover kit. And you can go there and get that. And there's a visualization in there called your future self. In that future self video, this future self visualization is so powerful. It's one of the favorite things people mention from that money mindset work that I do, because it puts you in a state of tuning into a part of you who's in the future. Everything's okay, and you have received. You're open. You are creating. You're living this life that you are connected to, and your wisdom comes out. Your inner wisdom comes out. So I highly recommend that visualization. And there's a quote by Mary Morrissey that says, you can't get to your dream, you must come from your dream. So this is huge, because it really allows you to tune in to the part of you that feels prosperous, and allows you to create from that place instead of trying to get somewhere. So it's like creating from your vision and creating from the place of, being more of who you are. So, and then, looking at what you would do with more money. So, and this is like you and money and your relationship, connecting to how you spend time together in the future. It's like your future plan. So I recommend to create 3 levels of income plans. So right now, this is where you are, how much money you make and how much money you spend and on what. And then the next 2 or 3 levels of if you had 20% more, if you had 50% more, if you had double your income, what would you do with your money? Because money is not motivating. It's not. Like the thing that's motivating for us is what we can do with money, what we can create, the freedom we can create in our lives, and the generosity we can bring to others. So allow yourself to vision with money and create these different levels of the vision of what it looks like to have more money, you know? And this is about your values too, which is another concept I go into in my money program. But this is the basics. So what is your vision? How can you nurture it and come from that place? Play with what you're making in the future and what that looks like and what you're spending. And I love the Einstein quote, your imagination is a preview of life's coming attractions. So when you can tune into possibility and, creating it in your mind and being able to tune into it, it creates an opening and a space for you to go there and to put energy into that direction. So that's really a huge one. So number 3, visioning. And if you want more visioning, I'm teaching a workshop coming up, so you can look at that, and I'll post the link below as well. It's in 3 days from this video live. Okay, so the next one is number 4. Number 4 is coming from enough. And this sounds really simple, and it's huge, So Lynn Twist has one of my favorite quotes, and I forgot to bring it with me right now, but it's basically that you can't get to prosperity through the portal of more. Like, I want more, I need more, So if you have enough, it's coming from that place of enough and using what you have to do what you can from where you're at. So that is enough. That is like coming from enough and letting yourself completely step into enough, and then that attracts prosperity. And this is totally counterintuitive again. Some of the metaphors I like to use here, analogies. One is from a movie I just rewatched called Under the Tuscan Sun. Many of you have probably seen it. And there's a scene where this really vivacious character in the movie is talking about how when she was a little girl, she laid on the ground, or no, she was looking for ladybugs. She was looking for ladybugs, and she couldn't find any. And then she took a nap, she fell asleep, and then she woke up and there were ladybugs all over her. So it's that idea that if you don't chase it, it comes to you. And another analogy is looking at if a feather was falling from the sky and you try to grab it and you try to catch it, the air displaced from your hand to grab it may make the feather move. And so allowing it to fall into your hand and just having an open hand to be receptive to receive it will attract it. Beautiful, huh? And one more that I love, it's really fun, is that if money was a dog and you imagine a dog and you basically, if you chase a dog, what happens? The dog runs, right? But if you put a cozy little bed, and you put some bacon or a treat or something, and you invite it in, it can't resist. So, this is connected again to, you spending time with money and creating this, this, what will you do with more money when you make it? And, that is huge, So I know I'm not saying you don't ever have to do anything to make money. That's my money program is about that too. These are just the counterintuitive ones that are really fun to play with because it's more about the energy, right? Okay. All right. One affirmation for this piece is coming from enough is an affirmation. Counterintuitive is, and this is from the book, it's from Access Consciousness Work. It's from the book, Money is Not the Problem, You Are. And it's an affirmation, I don't need money. Radical, huh? I don't need money. Because the truth is, you need food, shelter, love, all these kinds of things, but you don't need money. You can't eat it, So really shifting your energy around that is really playful and fun, and it works because it shifts things so that you feel not attached and there's an opening there. Okay, number 5. Number 5 is practice receiving. Okay, so what I love to assign people sometimes is creating a practice called abundant free time. So you creating a space in your week, every week, where you have free time. It can be 10 minutes a day. It can be 2 hours a week. It can be whatever you want it to be. But it's really about creating spaciousness so that you can be free. A lot of times when people ask people for years, what would you do with more money? And a lot of times people talk about all of these things they would do that don't have anything to do with money. So you stepping into giving yourself more freedom, a spaciousness where you can do anything you want. You could do something practical or productive, okay? Or you can do something creative or relaxing or connect with nature or draw or doodle or talk to a friend. Like whatever it is you want to do, you don't have to plan for it unless that's something you want to do. But it's really about allowing yourself to experience this spaciousness and this freedom, because that's what more prosperity is freedom, really. That's what it comes down to. So create a space of free time and, nourish your intuition, your self-care, your creativity, and, give yourself that each week, because that is your abundant free time, and you're practicing receiving from yourself this spacious time, which is priceless, right? So letting yourself completely give yourself abundant free time weekly. So think about it right now. Like, when in your week could you do this? Is it Fridays at 1? Is it Friday morning? Is it early in the morning? Is it late at night? What with your schedule and your sort of like rhythms and your lifestyle and the people around you, what would work for you? What would give you a sense of prosperity and abundance, And think about what you would do during that time. The things that you say you can't do because you don't have time or you have to make money, what are those things? Is it reading? Is it drawing? Is it looking up travel plans, ideas? Is it, creating a vision board? Is it, or I like to say a being board, things you want to embody that represent with a visual, like a vision board kind of thing. So practicing receiving. And, one more thing I just want to mention here is that, years ago, at one point when I was broke, I remember I went to the dentist, the transcendentist in Berkeley, actually. And I remember, like, it was all I could do to spend money to get my teeth cleaned, and I was way overdue. And he said, "Oh, I think you should do X-rays because blah, blah, blah." And I was like, and I had to ask myself, like, what would I do if I was taking care of a child that I loved? And then doing that for myself, giving it to myself. So I did the X-rays. And so, and they found some little tiny bits of decay, and I got some little fillings that were super eco-friendly and everything. And I haven't had a cavity and it's been like almost 20 years. So it was worth it. And, so for you, what does that look like? Giving yourself, receiving from yourself, and stepping into the next level of that for yourself so that you can receive and be with that and practice receiving. And that book I mentioned earlier, Money Isn't the Problem, You Are, one of the things that I think there's a subtitle of the book actually is, what if it's not about, basically it's like, what if it's not about the money? What if it's a receiving problem? Right? So that's massive, that idea, that concept, Okay, number 6. Number 6 is receiving connection and support. That's prosperity. We are humans. We are meant to be connected to each other. And, this is a huge thing for your nervous system. Well, it depends on the people too. But you get to decide that. Connection and support, consistent support creates better brain chemistry. It creates synergy for your life and your action steps and your creativity and your business if you have one. And it creates miracles, really, So look for support that meets you where you are and supports you to clarify next steps. Because that's all you need, right? You need somebody to meet you where you are today and to support you to take the next steps and clarify those. I ask my clients at the beginning of every session, what's your intention for this session? And we breathe together for a little while. And clarity is the most common intention. I mean, I haven't done the scientific, tabulation, but it is so common. It's a big deal. And especially right now when we're in a culture and a lifestyle and a world where things are always shifting and changing, you know? So you can make a plan, a linear plan, but energy is more important and more valuable and more, powerful than action right now. And if you do action, and you're coming from a place that's not completely aligned, it won't work anymore. Like, things have really shifted. I just watched a video about this from Kyle Cease, and it really resonated for me. So, and this is especially true if you're self-employed, letting yourself step into, receiving and connecting and getting consistent support. And this can be free. This can be you and a colleague meeting once a week or twice a week or every day for a little while and connecting and saying, okay, where are you at? What's going on? What do you need? What's next for you? This is huge. I did this twice a week with friends, and I do it once a month with a group for myself, and I'm working on creating more of this kind of support for my community as well. So, because I think the consistent connection and support is priceless. And things happen, things shift, and we're not meant to work and be in a vacuum. Those of us who are at home and we're isolated or we're not connected as much as people used to be in a workplace, collaborating and creating stuff. Like, it's really important to create this for yourself and give it to yourself. And it's part of receiving. It's part of receiving. And it can't just be anybody, though. It has to be people who completely support where you are and are present with you and get it. They get your vision, they get where you want to go, and they support you. Because if it's not that, it's going to drain you instead of give you energy and help you connect. So this is some fortification. So again, this can be a friend, a colleague, a therapist, a coach. It can be, or all of the above. I always have all of the above to some degree. So what do you need? Give it to yourself. And that's the question to ask too, especially, if you're really struggling, and these times are really challenging. So if you're really struggling, ask yourself, what do I need? And then find a way to give it to yourself, right? To create it. So, all right. So prosperity is a practice. Number 1 is nourish your nervous system. Curiosity trumps anxiety, and breathing techniques that support your nervous system to create space. Make sure you're breathing deeply and you're breathing out all the way, and breathing out more than breathing in if you want to relax. At least equal. Okay. Number 2, spend time with money. Nourish your nervous system. Nourish your relationship with money. So that can be getting clear on where you are, what you need, what you want, and what you're creating in the future, and aligning those with your values. And number 3 is visioning. Tuning into your future self, playing with numbers, of like connected to this visioning piece, the spending time with money, and really visioning what it is you want, and then why you want it. And I have a lot of work, the trainings that I offer, really going deep with your vision, because I totally believe in accessing that heart energy and your soul energy of what you truly want, and that if it's there's a way to make it happen. So if I can support you in the vision piece, reach out to me, look at my training, see what's coming up. And same thing with money in general. I have a money program that's been running for years, and it's super powerful and people love it. So if you want more support with your money relationship and all of these things, then that may be a place for you to put energy into. Number 4 is coming from enough. I don't need money. Counterintuitive, right? So coming from enough, allowing yourself to attract it in, to not chase it, to allow it and receive it. And number 5 is practicing receiving, giving yourself abundant free time and allowing yourself to create space for the things that nourish you, your self-care, your intuition, your creativity. These kinds of things are huge, and they are a source of prosperity. So letting yourself have them. And if you have a creative business, you're making art, you're making stuff with your hands. All businesses are creative too, of course. But if you have something where your creativity specifically is tied to your work, find something that's creative that is not tied to your work, so that you don't have the pressure of always putting it out there, Number 6 is connection, and consistent support. So this is receiving again in a different form from yourself and allowing yourself to receive support consistently and to connect with people who meet you where you are and support you in next steps. So thank you so much for being here and for listening. And I hope you enjoy these practices and take them into the new year and allow yourself to create more prosperity for you and those around you. And again, my name is Jen Ailey, and you can reach me at my website, JENALY coaching.com. All right, take care.